If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it. The wife and I saw a matinee over the weekend, the Peanut Butter Falcon. This was a really fun movie. It had a lot of heart. So it was released on 1,000 screens nationwide. So unlike the big tentpole movies that are released on like 3,000 screens, this has a small run. It's rated PG-13, and it's about a mentally handicapped man. He's like 22 years old, and his family can't take care of him anymore, so they put him in a retirement home to be watched and taken care of. And he has these dreams because he has these old VHS tapes from the 80s and 90s. Has these dreams of going to a wrestling school in Ayden, North Carolina, and becoming a wrestler. And so he keeps trying to escape out of this retirement community, this home where he's at. And he has this caretaker, Dakota Johnson. She's the caretaker in this place. I'll have to say the main character is played by an actor named Zach Gottlieb. I think that's how you say his name. And his character in the movie is called Zach. This is the guy, the Peanut Butter Falcon. Okay, and I'll get to how he gets the name. That's his wrestling name, okay? And they come up with that later on in the film, and you'll see that. But so Dakota Johnson plays a character named Elinor, and she's overseeing everyone at the group home. Another honorable mention who's at the group home, who actually helps Zach on his final Houdini escape, Bruce Dern, did a fantastic job in this movie. This was an all-star cast. I loved all the faces that were in this film. So Zach is out, and he's trying to find his way, and he escaped, and all he's got is a pair of underwear on. And that'll all be explained in the movie when you see it. And he's on the run. And he runs into kind of a seedy character played by Shia LaBeouf, which Shia did. Like all his movies, Shia always gives, I don't care if it's Transformers, or I don't care if it's Fury, or I don't care if it doesn't matter. Shia LaBeouf is one of the greatest actors on the planet. I don't care what anybody says. You can love him or hate him or what. He is fantastic in this film. And he plays this guy who lost his brother in a car accident. And it was kind of his fault because he fell asleep at the wheel. And he bonds with this handicapped kid. At first, he's on the run from these bad guys because he burned up their tackle gear because he was stealing crab pots. You'll have to see the film. But he was stealing crab pots from... the whole movie takes place on the Outer Banks. It's a coastal city, coastal town, fishing town. So... that's where we're at, Outer Banks, North Carolina. Although they shot the movie down in like Savannah, Georgia, it's all supposed to be the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And John Hawkes, who I did Eastbound and Down, he's awesome. John Hawkes is so good to all the cast and crew on any project he works on. He played one of the bad guys in this thing. And so Shia LaBeouf's on the run from these guys, and he runs into Zach, who kind of stowaways on his boat. And then they become friends, and how they become friends and how charming this whole movie is, as basically Shia LaBeouf commits to taking Zach to the wrestling school in Ayden, North Carolina. And they finally get there throughout trials and tribulations, and they run into Dakota Johnson, Elinor, the character of Elinor, who's been looking for Zach since he escaped from the home. And she finally catches up with Shia and Zach, and then instead of taking him back to the home, she decides to finish the journey with them and go to the wrestling school. Well, when they finally get to the wrestling school, Thomas Hayden Church plays the idol that Zach had the whole time. His character's name was Clint, but his wrestling name was the Saltwater Redneck. And the VHS tapes that Zach kept watching because, you know, he didn't understand the time gaps between, he thought the school was still there, but the school had been shut down for years because the tapes, the VHS tapes were from the 80s. Now we've got Blu-rays, we've got streaming and all this other kind of stuff. So he didn't, he didn't understand that there may not be a school there, and he couldn't articulate that to Shia. So when they get there, they realize there's no school, and this guy's living in a trailer park. And Shia pleads with him. He says, "Look, we came all this way. We've been on this journey, and this kid's heart's going to break because he wanted to be trained by the saltwater redneck, and you're no longer, doing this. Like, so, but just wave to him." He said, "Just wave to him, and that'll make things right because we've come this far." And he was like, "I don't want to impose on you anymore. We realize you have your own life now." So they start to leave, and they're walking down the trail, and then all of a sudden, Thomas Hayden Church comes flying around in this old Trans Am, and he's got the war paint on like he used to have, and he says, "I'm the saltwater redneck," and he was like, "I'm going to train you." So they do this backyard wrestling training like montage things where they're showing him how to do all these moves. And then I was very pleased to see Jake the Snake Roberts was in this film too as well. Also Mick Foley was in this, so you got some real wrestlers that were playing like backyard rednecks. And Jake the Snake Roberts, he's been, since he did that documentary that I actually had another video about a while back, he had a resurgence in his life, and he's been able to do movies and stuff now after he went through all that turmoil that they made a documentary on, where he turned his life around. So I was so pleased to see Jake the Snake Roberts in this. Mike Foley, again, he was like a referee in the backyard place. And make a long story short, he gets to get into the ring and prove that he can do the signature move that apparently the saltwater redneck talked about, this signature move that he always did, but it was always a camera trick on how he threw people. But they always talk about how Zach's got this amazing strength, and has an amazing grip. You'll see it in the movie and stuff like that. I know I'm giving away a lot because these are just my thoughts spewing out of the film, but I don't want to spoil everything, so I'll kind of wrap it up there. But this movie's rated PG-13. It was directed by Tyler Nilson and Mike Schwartz. It was a duo that did it. And it's funny because I think on Facebook I'm friends with either Tyler or Mike's sister, because she was commenting all about this movie. And when I was reading her comments, and that's the thing about being in the film industry, every movie or TV show that I work on, you get about 150 to 200 crew members. And so you're constantly meeting people, networking, and then friending them on Facebook. And you never know who knows who or who's friends with who. And so I was, not only that, but my wife knew somebody that worked on this movie too. That's how small of a community the film industry is. Even though when you see a movie with 300-400 credits at the end, there's not a movie or television show that goes by that I don't watch a movie or a TV show and go, oh, that's somebody, I know somebody. So like I knew the script supervisor on this movie, and I knew all sorts of people that were on this film, set decorators, all that kind of stuff. And so I was really excited to see, co-workers in the credits. And but anyway, either Tyler or Mike's sister was talking on Facebook about how it took 5 years from script writing to pitching to everything to get this movie off the ground. So this was a labor of love for 5 years, and it's finally in theaters, and it's on a limited run. So if you get a chance and it's in your theater, go see The Peanut Butter Falcon. And again, that's the name he chose for his wrestling name, Zach's wrestling name, when he gets into the ring. This movie is such, it comes from the heart, man. Everything about this film is, when you got all these giant tentpole films, the comic book movies, all this other kind of stuff, you get these beautiful little stories that touch the human soul, and this movie does that. And I'm so proud to see Shia doing these types of films. He's so done doing all the blockbuster stuff. He's focusing on really character-driven movies, and he's got like 3 or 4 more coming out that are all character-driven. One that he directed himself, where he played his own father, talking about the trials and tribulations of that he went through as a kid. Like, he's really digging deep as an actor, and I'm telling you, he's beautiful to watch on screen. So check out The Peanut Butter Falcon if you get a chance. If you have seen it, let's talk about it in the comments section, and we'll see you on the next one.